Well, hello there, and welcome to Everything Apax. My name is Alan, and I'll be your tour guide today. Alright guys, before I get into this, like and subscribe and hit the bell notification if you want notified anytime I put out a video. It helps the channel, it helps to get the information out there, and it would be greatly appreciated. I wanted to talk to you guys about Deadhead. I had mentioned in a previous video just recently about a significant deadhead that I did that I got paid for. It was part of the overall load and the way the pay was worked out and everything. What Deadhead is the distance you have to go to pick up the load from where you're currently sitting when dispatch calls. So if you're sitting in Louisville, Kentucky, and you get a call from dispatch saying the load picks up 100 miles from you, that is your deadhead. Rule of thumb is you want to keep your deadhead below 20% of your loaded miles. That's where you want to be overall. Obviously, the lower the number, the better. 20% is basically the max that your carrier should be, using as a guideline, that if they exceed that, they should start paying you for deadhead. Some carriers will pay you sooner than that. Some carriers, they do, you give us 50 miles and then X amount of deadhead after that, you get a set rate. There's different setups. For most carriers, it's basically going to be, there's either what they're going to call a bonus, they're going to call however they're going to distinguish it, they're going to give you a money amount to deadhead if it's a very high deadhead. So just to be clear, getting paid for deadhead and all deadhead is not a sure thing. It's not a guaranteed thing. It's not a requirement of, each carrier, like, that if you do deadhead, I'm getting paid for it. It doesn't work that way. So some of that burden is on you to keep your deadhead amount down as far as the mileage, and to be compensated for the deadhead that you do if it becomes, high. Hopefully you get with a carrier who, where the dispatch is aware and mindful of those things, and they'll just take care of things on their own, and you don't have to fight with it, you don't have to fuss about it, you don't have to ask for it. That's the ideal situation. Unfortunately, that's not the norm out here. The norm is you're gonna fight tooth and nail to get anything extra besides what the rate is per loaded mile. Me personally, my deadhead, I don't have the exact number, but I believe I'm usually around 15, 13%, somewhere in that neighborhood. Could be lower, could be low. I don't believe it's any higher than 15, but I'm somewhere in that neighborhood. So 15% of my total loaded miles for the year. So 15% of my loaded miles is deadhead miles. With my carrier, they're usually pretty good about throwing in paid deadhead if the deadhead becomes a little much. Every once in a while, it doesn't work out that way, but overall, they take care of things well enough that it all works out in the end. But keep in mind the 20% number, 20% of your loaded miles. If you get a 1,000-mile run, a 200-mile deadhead would be 20%. Some carriers may try to stretch that and not give you anything. Some carriers will throw you maybe $50, $75 in there for that 200 miles. Because 200 miles, regardless of the loaded miles, is a significant deadhead. And normally, you should be able to be compensated somewhat for that. But best believe, there are definitely a lot of carriers that aren't going to give you shit for that. As I stated, deadhead miles is the distance you go to pick up the load from where you're currently sitting. Now, there's also what I call relocate miles. Some people that just don't give a shit will be like, deadhead miles is relocate miles, it's all the same. Yeah, you're deadheading as to you don't have freight in the van. But deadhead miles is your dispatch's responsibility to compensate you if it becomes too much. Relocating isn't always the case. Now, if you get a load, if your dispatch is trying to give you a load going to Washington State or anywhere that's extremely difficult to get out of up in the Northwest, and say the Dakotas or Wyoming, Montana, any of that kind of stuff, you want to ask for some kind of money to go towards relocating, because the chances of getting freight out of there is slim to none. So that's how it's going to be described. You're not going to be, oh, I need Deadhead money. That's not how it's going to go. It's because, as I said, the Deadhead is considered something different. Now, if you're relocating, say you deliver in kind of an odd spot in say Kentucky or Tennessee or something, and you want to move 75 miles or 100 miles to a better freight area. Now, that's going to be on you. That's going to come out of your pocket as to whether or not you want to do it. Now, there are plenty of people that don't want to do that. They do not want to move. They're like, where I land is where my dispatch is going to get me a load from, and they're going to end up paying my Deadhead, or I'm going to try to get Deadhead pay out of them for going to pick up the next load. Now, you can do that. In theory, that sounds great. To make sure you're getting paid every time you move, that's fucking awesome. But the reality of the situation is that's not going to happen. People go broke out here doing that. People get out here and bitch and complain that dispatch sucks and this carrier sucks and that carrier sucks because they can't get me moving. Well, you decide to stay back there in the middle of nowhere, 150 miles from any freight lane. It's going to take you over 2.5, 3 hours to get to any kind of freight pickup, which means you ain't got time to get the shit most of the time, because this is expediting, which means it's time critical. So that is the reason for relocating out of your own pocket. Too many people look at relocating as an expense, which it is an expense, but at the same time, it's an investment. It's not only an expense. And there are a lot of drivers that have a problem understanding that. You're investing, say to go, say if I deadheaded or relocated, say I relocated 300 miles. That's going to cost me roughly 30 bucks. 30 bucks. I invested that 30 bucks to get a load today or first thing in the morning, as opposed to sitting where I am and possibly sitting for 2-3 days before I get anything, or before it's finally like, hey, I have no choice but to relocate. Most of the time, it works out. The numbers are in favor of it being beneficial to you to move. Not everybody's going to agree with that. Believe me, there are probably more that's going to disagree with that than agree. But again, there's more people coming in and out of this industry than stays. So, do you want to take the chances on what I'm suggesting? I'm still here. I'm still profitable. Or do you want to take the advice of the person that was out here for 2 weeks and decided that they were going home after 2 weeks, and expediting is just a shithole freaking industry to be in? My opinion is, most of the people that come out here, one, biggest thing is they don't fully understand what they're getting themselves into. But secondly, they don't do what they need to do to make it work. They just don't do it. Unwilling. Unable to understand what it takes, understand how it all works together. Which I don't get, man. That's something that's always gotten to me. You're out here on the road, man. You're away from home. Okay? Why in the flip are you not out here trying to do everything possible to earn money while you're out here? That is just never made sense to me. Now, again, let me say this first. There are those that are out here and they just want to be out here traveling around. They don't really give that much shit about money. Now, those people, and they're not bitching about their situation, not bitching about not making money, I have no opinion of them. They're happy, I'm happy. But most of the people, they come out here and they bitch that they're not making no money. They bitch that they're not getting no miles. Well, I've talked about this before. You're the one not wanting to run at night. You're the one not wanting to go to this area or that area. You're the one not wanting to do a certain load if it doesn't give you a certain added bonus or something. Most drivers are their own worst enemy. They can't get out of their own flipping way. I see it time and time again. And the relocating is one of the big issues. They just can't see the sense in the fact that it's an investment, and rather than, oh, I should get paid for everything. Yeah, ideally, as I said, you would, but you don't. So with that being said, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna work with the system and get the most out of it, or are you gonna think that the system is gonna change for you? Because that doesn't happen. That's my rant about that, man. I got off into a rant. I was trying to just talk about something in particular and got off into a rant. So the past week or so, I haven't done a lot of footage as far as updating when I'm picked up and all these things. There was a few pickups last week, and I ran my ass off. I mean, I ran over 4,300 miles last week. But I'll tell you what, I had a lot of places, man, that I was sitting forever waiting to get loaded. It's crazy how certain things happen in streaks out here. You know, like the previous week to this 4,300 mile week, it was a bunch of short loads. It was good pay for the miles, but it wasn't a lot of miles. It was just I had 5 loads total for the week, and they were all pretty much short runs. Whereas this week I had 3 loads and 4,300 miles. They were all big ones. And then, so there's those kinds of streaks. And then you hit the streaks where, like, it seems like everywhere you go, you sit and wait and wait. The one place that I picked up, if you guys follow the videos, the one where the guy is in the boxer shorts and flip-flops. That place, I sat there from 7:45 a.m., which I wasn't due to pick up until 11 a.m. So that wasn't a big deal those first few hours. But I didn't get out of there until 4:45 p.m. I was there all that time. What made that day so bad is that every time I tried to jump in the back and go ahead and try to grab a nap, since it was going to be a delay, something happened that I got disturbed. First time, I parked where the guard told me to park when I first got there. So I go in, check in, they tell me it's going to be a few hours. So I go back out to the van, I hop in the back, I'm all settled in, all nice and comfortable. Get a knock on the van. Hey, you can't park here, man. You're supposed to be over there by the yellow poles. Like, okay. Like, yes, sir. And I always try to be polite, no matter whether I'm frustrated or not, or think they're being an idiot or not. I always try to be nice. The only time I'm not gonna be nice is if you talk down to me. Talk down to me, I'm gonna say something. Not something as an asshole, but you're gonna know that you're being an asshole. Anyhow, so then I move over to where he told me by the poles. I'm kicked back, trying to get to sleep again. Here he comes again, about an hour later, knocking on the door. Hey, you need to go back in there. I go back in there. They're like, yeah, we told you it's going to be a while. So I go back out. You know, I'm thinking he knows something I don't know, so I went in. But anyhow, I went back out and was told it was going to be a little while still. I'm out there just hanging out now. I'm not going to try and jump in the back. Other vans are pulling up. There's just trucks in and out of there. Then I ran to the gas station to get some water. yeah, when I come back, checked in one more time, and still, it was like, yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be. Called dispatch. Well, dispatch is calling me, rather. And they tell me, oh, that's what woke me up the last time. Because I climbed in the back one more time, and then dispatch called, and they're like, oh, yeah, they're just going to go ahead and give you what they got. This was at like 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, mind you. 2 o'clock. They're like, oh, yeah, they're just going to throw on there what they have, man. They just want to get you down the road. I'm like, all right, cool. So I get up, get my shoes on, get dressed, everything. I'm waiting for them to come out. They never come out. Never come out. Never come out. Finally, like I said, 4:45, I'm finally loaded. But that's the kind of stuff that can happen, and so many people just, they get so pissed off and shitty because that happens. But it's a known aspect of our job. Like yesterday, where I picked up, there was a lady there. She had been there for a couple, 3 hours. She's bitching and moaning and complaining that she's got to wait. Like, for one, you go to a border town, if you have any bit of experience once you're out here, for a while, you'll understand. Border towns, you've got a good chance, you've got a better chance of waiting for your freight and possibly not getting your freight than getting your freight timely and on down the road. Doesn't happen very often. When it does, be grateful. And I was lucky that it was for me. But people bitch about sitting, and it's a known part of the job. I mean, I don't know what to say. That stuff is just irritating that people bitch so much. I mean, I don't know. Maybe most people are that's just in our nature to have to complain all the time. I don't know. Me personally, as I said, it's just part of the job to me. And then you'll hit streaks though, where every place you show up to for a week or two, you're getting loaded early. Get there 3 hours early, 4 hours early, 5 hours early. Hell, I've gotten a load the day before it was supposed to go out before. And that's why I always suggest going by early. Now, if dispatch tells you no, always verify with your dispatch it's cool to go, because sometimes the broker or customer that you got the freight from will throw a fit that you went early. So you always want to verify if you go too early that it's okay to go in. And when you go in, you don't go in, hey, I'm here for my freight, man. Is my freight ready? You don't do it that way. You walk in, you say, hey, I'm here early. I know I'm here early. I just wanted to make sure I was in the right spot. And then normally they're going to ask you, like, who you with and what are you here for? Then you get into that conversation. Then if your freight's ready, great, you got it. Nobody's pissed off. Nobody's frustrated. Everybody's good. You go in there like, yeah, I'm here for my freight, acting like you're supposed to get it. So I got interrupted. But all I was talking about was streaks, how things can get streaky out here. You'll have streaks of getting freight that don't go over 500 pounds. Then you'll have a streak where you can't get anything under 1,700 pounds or under 2,000 pounds or whatever. But it just gets streaky out here, and it's weird how it happens. You have a streak of dry runs, a streak of canceled loads, a streak of short runs, a streak of long runs. Just kind of crazy how some of that works. So that'll about do it. I'll jump off here. I'm en route to Missouri.